So today we'll look at a few more tips and tricks in our Excel series. So first, this is related to one of this tip is something that which we came across in the recent work that we did for one of our clients. So let's say, for example, you have a data something like this, okay, and you want to consolidate this data and summarize it. For example, like this. So you want to know, so for each of these departments, we would like to see what's the total compensation we are building up and how many total employees are there in each of these departments. So there are lots of departments, but I just chose these 4 for the time being, and I've created formulas that will actually go into this sheet, this data, and look get the values that which we need. And oftentimes what happens is, so this is in the workbook called book 2, okay, at the moment, and let's say this data is referring to a particular year, let's say 2017 or 20 some year, right? And we want to get the same results in another year's data, and that another year data is in some other workbook. Let's say, let me pull this. Yeah, so let's say I have another workbook here, and let's say this is the data here. Again, let's assume that these two the data from the other workbook and this workbook are on different years, and I would like to replicate the get the same values in this sheet, in this workbook as well. So obviously the formulas here are smaller. This is just for the demo purposes, but oftentimes you may run into cases where you may have entire sheets of formulas, and what will happen is, let's say if I just directly copy paste, okay, I'll copy this and I'll get to my other workbook and I'll paste this here. What you can notice, one thing is, we got the values, right? But if you can notice, there was a link that was linking to the previous workbook, so the book 2 workbook. So it was not referring to the data from this workbook, from this sheet which we intended to arrive at, but it is referring to the same data from the other workbook which we don't want in this workbook, right? So when we do Control-C and Control-V, that is something that happens. And sometimes we may need it this way only. We want the linking to be from the original workbook only, but sometimes we may want the linking to be from this sheet. So for that, what we can do is, so we have lots of options actually. If I do Control-V, let me actually clear this up and do one more time. Yep, and yeah, so I have few options to control paste, but none of these options have basically ability to unlink the previous workbook and to be able to refer to this data. So further, what we can do is, there's a small trick we can do using Notepad++ editor. So let me show you that quickly. So I've opened my Notepad++ editor, and what you can do is go to your original workbook where you want to copy the formulas from. So let me switch to book 2, and what I'll do here is, let me just, you have to press Control tilde symbol. So the tilde is the one in Windows, if you can see the button that is previous to the number 1 on the top. So if you do that, all the formulas, wherever it is they are present in the cells, they'll be displaying the formulas in which. Then now you do Control-C on the top of this in this mode, and go to your Notepad++ and paste this here like this. Okay, now copy this here once again, and go to the sheet where you want to paste this, and come here, and let's say I'll paste this here. And now what happens, actually let me do, okay, just a second. Okay, and if I do that, just let me do here itself. Enable. Just a second. this is HNC. Okay, let's try that one more time. Get back here. Let's try one this time. Okay. And come here. Okay, for some reason, okay. Okay, let's hold on this. For I don't know why it's not working at the moment. Some dialog box is popping up, but let's move on to the other one. So the other step that I had, I'll get back to that one some other time. But for the time being, let's move on. And this is something related to an autofill option. Okay, if you would notice, so whenever we type any month or week names, right? So for example, Jan, and I'll get this autofill based on the Excel will know that I'm trying to get months, and it'll try to autofill those update values later. And likewise, it will happen for these values as well. And once the cycle is done, it will try to repeat them again. So let's say there's a case we would like to get a custom list. So something like, for example, okay. Just give me a second. Strange, I'm not able to get to call me. It's okay, let's ignore that. Let's get this thing. Okay, okay, let me do this, and data duplicates. Okay, now I got it. Just the latest one. Okay, let's say you have a list of departments, right? And you would want these values as well to be autofill, something like this. So for example, let's say I put account management, and if I do again just like the control drag, obviously I can, this is something that I can expect, right? But I want this is some list that I frequently use, and I want this to be available for me, just like this autofill option. However, I'm getting these values for Jan to December or Sunday to Saturday, right? So if I want to get a custom list for my frequent usage, then there's an option for us to enable that as well. So for example, let me just select these values and go to file. Okay, and you have to go to options and go to advanced. Scroll all the way bottom, and you will see something called edit custom lists. Okay, so click this, and we are able to see this Jan to Jan, these autofills on months and weekdays based on the fact that these were already added in this custom list when you by default when you install Excel. So we can add custom lists to this. So for the time being, since I've selected this range of cells and I've come to this dialog box, it's automatically recognizing maybe this is the range of cells at which you want to add. I just click on import, and I've added this list of cells as my custom list, and click OK, and click OK. Now if I try to type just one value, and now I'll drag on this, I'll get the, okay, just hold on, what's up? Something strange, let's just check that.
Spelling of management, Jagdish.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks that. Okay, and yeah, now I'm getting these values likewise, and it's not necessarily that I have to start from actually account management. So I can just like for months and weekdays how it will work from anywhere. I can start from anywhere and it will go on that cycle. So this is one thing that if you have a frequent list that you have to use every now and then, you can go for this thing. But one thing to keep note of this custom list is this is a machine specific feature. So for example, I have added this on my machine, so it will be available for me throughout all my workbooks. If I open a new workbook, I can do the same there. But let's say if you have shared this file to someone else who doesn't have this custom list added onto his system, his or her system, then they will not be able to get this autofill on the custom list. So one other nice feature about this custom list is something related to sort. Let's say for example, here we have this data, and when I click on sort, okay, I want to click sort based on the status field. I'll just do alphabetic, click expand selection. Let me just come here once. Okay. Is it alphabetic? Okay, for the time being, let's clear source. Okay, there is no sort. That's good. Okay, so once I did the sort, it basically gave me this particular order, right? So first it's giving me all the full-time values, and then it's giving me half-time values, and so on. So let's say there is a specific order in which you want the sort to function by. That also you can specify using the custom list. Let's say for example, let's go here and let's say I want the sort to function in this order: first the contract, then full-time, half-time, and hourly. So what I can do is I'll have to add this to the custom list, and options, go back again, hit custom list. I'll add this cell range, import it, click OK, click OK, and I'll get back to my data, and I'll click on custom sort here. Instead of these sorts, I'll click on this and expand selection, and it will ask me to select the custom list order in which I want to sort. So basically, so this is something that which I was previously done. This is something that the order which I the custom list that I've created now. So I can select that and I click OK, and it will give me the sort based on that. So this is people also use this custom list to get the sort based out of the desired. So that is something related to the custom list, and these are something interesting if we can explore this further as well. And the other tip that I had is something related to cell dependencies. Okay, so let's say for example you have some big worksheet, and in that there are lots of values, something like this. So let's say for example, currently I have a B3 cell which is having a value of 66, and you want to know, hey, if I change this particular value, what are the other cells in the same worksheet, what are the other cells actually which will be changed, what are the effect that I can expect, right? One way to look at it is obviously to go through all the formulas and manually, okay, see that, hey, this particular cell is actually linked to B3, so if I change that, that will be changed. This thing is also linked. This cell it's not directly linked to B3, but it is linked to E5, which is this, which in turn is linked to B3. So for us to be able to figure that out manually, it will take a lot of time, and it's a quite laborious task if you have a decent data and the calculations that are going on in the worksheet, right? So one quick way to identify what all the dependencies of a cell is, select the cell from which you want to check all the dependencies. Okay, keep that as your active cell. At the moment is B3, and you have to, there's a keystroke shortcut which is Control Shift curly braces. Okay, right curly braces. So that right curly braces is the buttons that you see right after your alphabet P in the keyboard. So once I click that, so you can see all the cells that were dependent on the current active cell, which is B3, they were highlighted, and I can obviously go and highlight them for my reference, right, and go through them one by one. So this is one way to look at all the dependencies. So if I change this to some other value, I can expect that all these cells will change, but rest of them will remain same. So that is one thing. The other way to this approach is good enough when you're dealing with only single worksheet of data, but Excel does not have cell linkages in single sheet, right? It will also have dependencies coming from other sheets and dependencies that are coming from other workbooks as well. So, but this approach will not help you identify any other workbooks or other sheets which are linked to this particular value. So in order to identify those sort of dependencies, there's another way we can get to. First, let me actually remove this. Okay, I'll again select cell B3, okay, and go to formulas tab, and there is option here called trace dependence and trace precedence. So if I click on trace dependence, you can see that hey, if I change my B3 value, all these cells, the Excel will actually navigate, hey, all these cells will be changed. And it's not just, but you can notice that earlier we have these cells also highlighted, right? So that is because these are the first level of cells which are directly linked to B3. And once I click again on trace dependence, second time, it will again show the next level of dependence from each of these first level of cells which are dependent on B3. So, and I can go on like that. It will to exhaust all the list of all the levels of dependencies on the cell which I'm currently active on. So this is something that which we can trace dependence on, and it will also work to basically look at the precedence as well. Let's say if I know, for example, this cell is dependent on B3, right? So I can trace back also, whereas this cell is coming from, this is coming from this cell and this cell, and I can also click one more time to navigate that, hey, this actually is coming from these three cells. So this is another way to look at this. And the one advantage point based on these trace arrows is that it will even show the links that were pointing out to other sheets or workbooks. So let's say, for example, here it didn't work, but let me just grab something for the time being. Okay. Fine. Control C. Do this. Okay, that's happening there. That's good. And if I just a second, let me it's not working at all. Let me type just for the time being some formula here from this sheet. Let me just take some random formula. Okay, click OK. I have some value here. Let's ignore this everything. Okay, now if I go back to my formulas and trace, so okay, this one, and I'm trying to see where this particular value is coming from. I click on trace precedence, and it is showing me that some new arrow type, right? So this is showing me, hey, this is something coming from some other sheet. I'll double click on this arrow, and it will help me to get where is this particular value is being calculated from. I'll click on that reference and click OK, and it will take me to that particular sheet and the column from which that particular value is calculated. And likewise for these as well, since these are not just coming from this workbook, they are linked to directly from some other workbook. So I can do the same here, and it will take me to other workbook. It says that it's coming from all these three references. I can select either of them and click on OK, and if I have that workbook open, it will take me to that workbook. So this is one slight limitation on this feature as well, which is that for you to trace all these workbook precedents or dependents from other workbooks, you need to have those workbooks open. If they are not open, you will not be able to see those precedents. So for example, let me just remove this and close this workbook. So this, okay, now if I try to do this again, trace precedents, it's still showing me. That's I think okay, that thing okay. Okay, I think you'll not be able to go navigate to it, but it'll show you that reference. You'll just not be able to go to that. So that is something interesting as well that you can explore. You can use wherever required to be able to identify cell dependence and precedence. So I think I'll stop it here, everyone. I'll come back to the first tip in some other next sessions. I'll look at it, something might be happening off. If you have any questions in the later two tips, you can let me know.
Jagdish, I have one doubt regarding the highlighting of cells. Like when you gave that control set, right, curly braces,
right,
the highlighted both primary and secondary dependencies. So is there any way to highlight only the primary dependency?
Using shortcut, I don't think so at the moment, Jairam, but
Okay.
I'll look into it. If there is any way that I'll let you know.
That's totally fine.